Welcome to Meet the Dog. I'm Chris, and with me today, though you can't see it because the camera's facing the wrong way, is Sister. Sister is from the Christmas litter, born back 2021. Her parents are Trip and Capri, who actually had the Poppins litter, that is our current litter, over in ice, so she is their big sister. I didn't get an exact weight for her, but she's weighing in probably, I'm going to ballpark it around 120, 125-ish. She eats twice a day, 3 cups each. She's doing very well in her training. The one thing that she needs to improve on is her nerves, which, as always, as I always say, that's kind of something that I just kind of mellows out with age and, of course, repeated training. But she's doing it very well in her training otherwise, so she just got to get her confidence up, and then she'll be good to go. She is, out of the Christmas litter, she's one of the only 3 Merles. The way I used to tell her apart from the others when they were still puppies, and so, oh, the camera's turning. I'm going to give that a second. Hello! Okay, there we go. So Sister was one of the only 3 Merles from the Christmas litter. So how I used to tell her apart was that she was the only one that didn't have any kind of special identifying trait. Which sounds really mean, but it's kind of true. Because you have Davis, who has like the white spot on his neck, Army, who had the black ears. Wallace was the most recognizable out of all of them. He had the big white stripe. Jack, he had the stripe that cut off at the top. Bessie had the thin one. Waverly had the one that went all the way to the back. Jenny had the thin one that went to the back. Sister was the only one that I didn't have anything for her. So basically I would look at all the other pups and I'd be like, well, none of them are Sisters. So that's Sister right there. She's a good girl, though. She really is. Despite how mean I am to her, I guess. When you go into a kennel with her, when I put in the fluffies at night, she will, her and Army used to do this too. They will flop on their bellies, and they want belly rubs. So, but I'm going to open it up to questions about Miss Sister. Any questions about Miss Sister, who I'm sure is as hot as me right now because it is not very comfy in the arena. It is sitting at a nice 80 degrees in here. Fun. Any questions about Miss Sister? Barb V asks, what about Sister makes you laugh or smile? The things that make me laugh and smile about Sister, as I mentioned before, she loves belly rubs. When you go into the kennel to put her fluffies in, once she lies down, if you stay there in there with her for a second, she will just kind of flop on her back to try to get belly rubs. She's a lot like her brothers. She's a lot like her brother Davis, where she is very food motivated, which that truly makes me smile, because right now we're having just a real good time with feeding. I don't know if you guys are seeing it on the camera, but a lot of the dogs just are giving us trouble about eating at the stand or just in general. And Sister is one of the ones who isn't doing that, so that definitely makes me smile. So thank you for not doing that. So I would say the belly rubs and the thankfully still eating at the stand and eating at a good pace. Alright, let's see. More questions about Miss Sister. I will try to think about some other things that we're usually asked about in the meantime. Those might still get oh, hold on. Barb V asks, what 3 words best describe Sister? I'm going to say energetic, lovable. She's a bit of a tomboy, if I'm being honest. Like I said, she's a lot like her brothers. I put her with Davis a lot, and Jack too. and she can keep up with them. Those two can really go at it. Like they run and they run, and she does a very good job of keeping up with them. So she can be a bit of a tomboy at times, which I appreciate. It's always nice to have a girl around here who can handle herself. Hey there, right, sweetie. I keep putting my phone away. I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't keep putting that. That always happens. I always have days like this where I just keep putting it away. Oh, dang, we got a lot of questions. Hold on. White Birch asks, how close is sister to being matched? That's a hard one. I haven't heard anything about, like, oh, yeah, we're thinking she's ready to go out. But I have been hearing good things about how she's been doing in training. So I think, as I mentioned earlier, she needs to work on her confidence. So I think once we start polishing that up and she starts getting working on her nerves, she's not as scared of things like traffic, or I don't think she has problems with other dogs or people. I think the big thing is traffic and new places. So once we start getting that kind of polished off, I think then that's probably where we're start considering, like, okay, is she a good match for any of our potential recipients on the waiting list? So I wouldn't say she is close to being matched, but I would definitely say she's not far off either. Like, she is doing well. She just has one or two things she needs to work on. Cammy asks, what is sister best at? What are you most proud of her for? As I mentioned earlier, I'm very proud of her for still eating her food without any trouble. She is very good at her recall. She does very well with that. She gets along very well with other dogs. I actually tried her with Emma today for the first time, and they did very well together. So I'm very proud of her for that. I only had them together for about, I think, 30 minutes before John took her for training. But during that whole 30 minutes, they had no problems. They did very well together. They weren't like playing a lot. They weren't like all over each other, but they were fine with being in each other's space. So I'm going to keep testing that and see if that keeps working. So I'm very proud of her for, apparently she does well with other girls. I don't know if Emma's the exception, but I'm going to keep trying that. So proud of her for that. So I'd say recall, doing well with other dogs. She's doing well in her training, as I mentioned. Aunt GR asks, does she have a favorite playmate? I'm going to have to say Davis. Her brother Davis. The two of them were together for a very long time. Back when we had the Christmas and the Tribble litters were first born, we had a lot of dogs on property. I think we had it upwards of with those two added litters, we had upwards of like 30 dogs on property. So a lot of dogs ended up getting doubled up. She was doubled up with Davis a lot of the time, and they spent a lot of time together, and they still get along very well. They love to play together. I'll put them together, and they will just run and run and run. So I would have to say Davis is probably her favorite playmate. Crafty asks, do you expect her to be placed with a smaller recipient, such as a woman or child? She is definitely a bit on the shorter side. By no means is she small. She's probably around the same size as Emma. So she's definitely not going to be going to someone as tall as me. Probably someone a bit shorter, maybe like 5'7", 5'6". Whether that ends up being a woman or a child, I truly don't know. But I think she will probably go for someone not short, but on the shorter side, I would say. We're getting a lot of questions. White Birch asks, has she been on an overnight lately? Not lately. I think the last time she was on an overnight was when she got spayed. I don't remember who she went with, though. I don't remember. Though I don't recall hearing any issues about it either. It sounded like it probably went pretty well. Now that I know that she gets along with Emma, I might see about taking her home for an overnight if and when I can. I just want to probably try her with Emma a couple more times to make sure that they truly get along, and that there's going to be no surprise issues. So I will get back to you guys on that. White Birch asks, how often does she go off property for training? I would say about as often as the other dogs. We try to get them out. I mean, a couple times a week. Sometimes it can vary depending on which trainers we have when. And of course, now that we have the puppies, we're going to be busy with that, so not as often as we like. But I would say definitely a couple times a week at the very least. Let's see. This is so I got two more questions. These are going to be the last two. It's from Crafty and White Birch. First one is from Crafty. How is she like her mother? Has she seen her mom around the farm in the past month? I think she has. I don't think she's been up close with Capri at all, but they have been walking around Capri to get her some exercise. So she has definitely seen her like from afar. So I don't know how their interaction really is. I know Capri didn't. I don't think Capri spent as much time with the Christmas litter as she is spending with the Poppins litter. But how she is like her mother, I would definitely say she's a lot more like her mother than her father, though I don't know that much about Trip, except for the fact that whenever he's here, he's whining nonstop. Actually, now that I think about it, she does whine quite a bit for food, so she is a little bit like her father. But I have had a lot more interaction with Capri. Capri really is. She's a real sweetheart, and I would say she definitely gets that from her mother. Just how kind of amiable she is, how good with people she is. All right, last question. How many of the Christmas litter are still on property? And this is from White Birch. I believe of the 9 who were from that litter, 1 went out as a pet. That was Mandy. Bessie went out as a breeder. And then Army just recently went out as a service dog, so that leaves us with 6 Christmas dogs still on property, if I'm right. That would be Sister, Davis Wallace Jack, Jenny Waverly. And those are the remaining Christmas litters, so we're hoping that we will get them out soon enough. I know a lot of them, nerves is kind of a big thing for a lot of them, so we're really trying to work that out with them. Sister seems like she's doing well. I think of the litter, I would say probably, and I can't put a when this is going to be. This is just my best guess from what I have seen. It would probably be either her or Jenny. Jenny is doing very well in her training. She does very well when we're leash walking her around property. Sister pulls a bit when we were walking her, but as I mentioned, I saw very good things about her training. It's just really the nerves. So, but we have 6 still remaining on property. I'm not sure which of them are going to go out next. But that is all the time we had. Got a lot of questions today, which was very nice. Thank you all for sending so many questions. But we will be back next week with another dog. Everybody have a good night. And hopefully this will not make a big noise when I put it